Tom Tortolani here. I know I've talked to or emailed a number of you on the call today, so thanks for joining us. We've got everybody on mute. The idea is that I'll go ahead and do my presentation. You can post questions in our Q&A window. And after I'm done with the presentation, I'd be more than happy to answer questions and have follow-up and stay online as long as I need. This will be recorded. We'll make the recording available to everybody that registered for the webinar. So I'll go ahead and jump right into it. So just by way of agenda, I'm going to go through just a few slides very quickly, then actually do a demo of some of the new capabilities, and then we'll go ahead and open it up to take a look at any of the questions that were posted. So before we jump into the release, I just wanted to give you a bit of a company update. I know we've got a number of our customers on the call today. We certainly thank you for being a customer of SafeSite Check-In. I'm really pleased to say that since we launched the product in June, we've had a steady pickup of customers that have come in. This month, we're tracking to do over 55,000 check-ins across all of our customers. So, and then our customer base is growing. We're in right now about 25 states in the US, and now we've got customers in Canada as well. Most of our customers actually do have multiple sites. I know that a lot of our customers start out initially with one site, perhaps just test and validate that the solution works for them. We've got a number of customers that only have one site, and that's all they'll have. That's great. We're more than happy to have customers of varying sizes, but we see over time as our customers have more sites that they actually deploy the software or the solution to more than one site. So let's talk about this product release. There are three key new things that we put into the release. Our cadence of doing releases is about every two or so weeks, but this is actually a pretty significant release, which is why we wanted to try doing a webinar just to kind of let everybody know about it. The first is we've introduced what we call analytics into the product. Analytics is a series of dashboards and reports that give you visibility into all the activity across all your sites. I'm going to demonstrate all these things after I go through this discussion. But some of the early feedback that we've had from customers that we've shown the analytics to is that, not only is it good to get visibility to what's going on overall, but some customers have said they believe there's value in other benefits to this, such as being able to look at how they might be applying resources, staffing, and equipment at their different sites based on the activity they see in our reports. A number of our customers also use the solution as a way to kind of reconcile any of the billings that they might have with different visitors, subcontractors coming in to just reconcile that the time that they're reporting matches up with what the check-ins are happening through our system. And then the other thing we'll talk about is contact tracing. The idea that if you have a visitor that you need to actually identify and then see what sites that visitor was on, and then all the other visitors that were on the same sites on the same days, that we have a new report that makes that really easy to do. I'd say that, with the contact tracing, we've had a number of our customers report one or more incidents of COVID incidents at their sites. So in those cases, a customer will basically identify as somebody that actually has COVID. To date in the product, what people have been able to do is go through our CSV log files to figure out where that individual was and all the associated, visitors on site. But it is a pretty manual process and also error prone. So with the new contact tracing report, which I'll show, you'll see that it's actually very quick to do. We've also introduced a new feature called host notification. And there are actually several roles in our system. So we have at the very top level, the administrator. Those are the people who can access our administrator app and set up sites, set up other users, and set up the different configuration points. We've had in the software, since we started, something called the supervisor role. And that's the one that allows you to identify what individuals you want to have visibility to a specific list of sites. And when users check in, if they're set up for alerting, if a user's denied access to a site, the supervisors will get alerts in the email or phone form. So what we've done with the host role is basically allow you to define another role where a host is one that will receive an alert whether a user is granted or denied. So now if you want a host to be notified somebody's actually checked into a site and they've been granted access, they can actually get a notification on that as well. And as part of that process, when the user checks in, they actually select the host that they're actually there to see as part of their overall check-in process. Then the last one is actually contact info settings. Over the past few months, we've tried to put more options in there for you to do things like change the health questions or the terms that we present when a user checks in. And with this release, we've got the ability to let you modify the actual contact information that the user enters when they check in through the process. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and switch screens here. Let's see if we can actually take a look at the release. Give me one moment here. Over here. So hopefully you're all seeing a page. Here's my admin. So I'm going to show you our fictitious site called Foggy Bay Construction. We've got a number of sites configured for this and a number of sample check-in data that I'll go through. So you'll notice on the left-hand panel, we've added some additional features, and we'll talk about those shortly. But on this page, you'll also see that there are some changes here as well. So, we have a list of sites. We show you the supervisors associated with the site. But now, since we have this new role called host, you can also very quickly see what users have been identified as the host for a particular site. And a site can have more than one host, just like you can have more than one supervisor at a particular site, right? And if I actually go in to edit this particular site, you'll see down below that you can very quickly decide which of the users are the host or the supervisor. You can be either or, not both. And in a moment, I'll actually, go through a check-in and just show you how that actually looks. So, this is one level where you can associate users to be a host or the supervisor. And then if we look at the user page, it's the same thing. You can look at the role that they have associated to them and see whether they're a host or a supervisor. And again, you can mix and match. Users can be a supervisor at one site and be a host at the other. There may not be, practical use case for that, but we wanted to give you the flexibility to configure it any way that you need to fit your particular need. Now, take a quick look at the contact info. So we've had a number of customers ask for the ability to make certain fields, for example, optional when the user checks in. Right now, we require them to put some information into every field. And one of the common ones is people will ask, well, do we really have to force them to put their address in? It just takes up more time as part of the check-in. So the idea is that with all of our standard library of contact information, you can very quickly come in here and decide which ones you want to make mandatory, which ones you want to make optional, or if you want to disable a particular field for some reason, you now have the ability to do that in the application. Through the app, these are all set, overall for all of your sites. But like the entry questions and terms, we can actually configure this to be different for your different sites. So if you have a need to kind of vary this type of information by site, let us know, and that's the thing we'll do, for you. But, within this UI, for example, if I want to make the address field not mandatory, so I check the box, and now when the user checks in, they don't have to put any information into that field, right? And I'll go ahead and just show you that here. And then in this these UIs, we let you rearrange the questions of the info. So, for example, if I want to kind of put that still underneath the name, when the user checks in, they'll still be able to put in an address, but we're not going to require them to put one in if they don't want. So do just a quick check-in to show you this. I'm going to check into this. Let's see, let's pick this site here. So the idea is that you set up, all your configuration, and then you very quickly can go into the app and actually, in this case, do a quick check-in to make sure that questions are being presented in a fashion that you expect, right? So when you initially come in, for the very first time user selects the app, they select their language. right? And then for the contact info, I'll just quickly, put some data in here. I'm going to skip the address. It's not required, any longer. We want to grab their phone number. I'm just going to make up a funny area code here. Right. Just going to save time. Right. So if you activate the host feature, then the user checking in has actually got to select the host as part of their check-in process. Now, if you only have one host identified for the site, then we automatically fill in the form for the user. They don't need to type in anything else. If you choose to have multiple hosts defined, then basically the user then can click and select which hosts they want to notify that they've arrived on the site. Now, these users still have to have the alerts set up in order to, have that email or text message go out to the host. But, you click that in the UI. And then when they complete their check-in process, this particular user would be notified by the alert configuration. Right, so I did not put an address in here. And you see that it allowed me to go to the next page. So it did not force me to put that address into the application. All right, so I'm going to conclude by going through the analytics. So we've got out of the box, I think the count is up to about 6 different reports and dashboards that show data from a number of different perspectives. Naturally, the longer you use our product, the more data you have, makes it more interesting. You've got multiple sites. There's a lot of good information here that we present. So I'll start at the very top level. We put together kind of an overall view of activity. All of these pages, they'll probably take 5 to 10 seconds to come up when you're doing this, at your site. It's basically depends on your internet connection speed, with other things you have open in your browser. But this is really designed to present this high-level information. And here you can see that the way this particular report is set up, you very quickly can see how many check-ins that you've had over a certain time period. We aggregate the information by month. You can look at your daily activity. And then if you want to, you can actually go in here and pick a different time range. So, maybe I want to look at 6 months worth of data in the app. The other thing about all these pages, all these visualizations within each of the page is you can then, if you need to take that and then send it out, for example, you want to download each of these into a spreadsheet to share or do other things with, you've got a quick option to do that as well, right? So, quick overview, looking just by month, your number of check-ins, then naturally you might want to say, well, how am I actually doing by site? And so we've got a view in here that actually shows that data as well. Give this a moment to come up, and you see at the top of the page, you've got a number of filter controls. By default, we set it up for a certain time range for you. Here you're looking at multiple sites, by month, showing it to you also by day, and then in aggregate. You can see across the entire range of time you selected, how many check-ins you got. All these tables are also sortable. So if you want to click and actually sort in any column, ascending or descending order, to quickly see, what are your top or bottom, kind of sites with activity, level of activity. You can do that very quickly here, within the page. And I'll show I'm not going to go through every one of these, but the other view we'll take a look at today is the contact tracing report. Now, naturally, all the information that we present on a lot of these pages is really based on what the user enters, the visitor enters when they come into the site. So the names they put in, their contact information is all based on what they put in. And if they're not putting in accurate information, then it's going to reflect in some of these reports, particularly a report like this where you're looking at specific visitors and trying to get their contact information. So the idea behind this report is that for a certain time range, let's say somebody reports an incident and you need to go back for the last 14 days and say, show me all the sites that visitor was on. but then also show me all the sites or all the other visitors that were on the same sites on the same day. You got to kind of correlate, across multiple sites. So the idea is that you have the ability to pick what particular user's been identified as having an issue. We show you a list of all the visitors for this time range across all your sites. The names here are based on what the user types in when they check into a site. We know people make typos, so you do have the ability to do things like, a search. So you want to make sure that, maybe if they miskeyed their name in different times, that you can actually search and actually figure out one or more that are the person that you're searching for. In this case, I'll pick this user Tom, visitor Tom. Give it a few seconds here, and what it will do is then go back, find all of the sites that this particular visitor attended in the last 2 weeks, and then show me all the other visitors that were on the same site on the same days. We also put in additional information. So if you need to verify, is this really the person that I think it is? It'll then show you what company they've identified themselves with, and also their email and phone numbers to kind of triangulate and make sure that this person is who you think it is when you identify them here in the application. But then you see, as you go down the list here, over the past two weeks, this visitor has actually visited multiple sites. You get their check-in time and date, and then you get to see all the visitors that were on the same sites on the same days, and also their contact information and their time that they checked in as well. Now, as we've talked to customers about how it's going with the system, we know that we have had a number of customers that have had one or more COVID incidents reported at their sites. We've also seen they use different practices for how they handle this type of information. So, as we talk to customers on the East Coast and the West Coast, it seems like the local health authorities, want you to provide this type of report to them. So the idea is then you can get this report built, and then you can quickly export it out to a file and then share that with a local health authority. And then some cases it really varies. Some customers will also say that we're not obligated to provide this information, directly to the visitors. But as a professional business courtesy, some of our customers actually, do that. So, that practice is really kind of dependent on, how you want to, run your business and manage this. But you can see that it's very quick here to generate the information that's needed. You don't need to comb through a bunch of log files and then figure out what's going on. It's really, right at your fingertips here. So, over time, we're going to, provide more of these reports in the system based on feedback that we get from our customers. Always glad to take feedback, both good and bad, about what's going on with our product. And by all means, let us know. The other thing I'll point out is we do have this video tutorial list. And in here, it does show, take a quick look at it. I think we're up to 5 or 6 titles now. So really, the idea is, 4 to 5 minute videos showing you all the capabilities, how they work within the system. You can very quickly, take a look at this and then share these videos with any of your coworkers as need be. Okay, so I'm done with my presentation part of this. I want to go back to maybe just see if there are any questions posted. Be more than happy to open it up to questions. I'm also going to just put just some of our email addresses in here. So if you need to talk to any of our team, between sales and support, by all means, some of you also have our email addresses. Just let us know. I also want to let you know that we just started a referral program. And the idea is that anybody that brings to us a customer that could use our solution, and that lead actually ends up buying SafeSite Check-in, we're basically doing a $50 Amazon gift card for every customer that any of our customers actually bring to us. So you'll probably hear more about this as well from our team. But again, we thank you for being a customer. We know that a lot of our newer customers are coming in based on them seeing our software or app in action at different sites. So we certainly appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop the presentation, take a look to see if there are any questions in the chat window, and we'll go from there.